Hello, everybody. Welcome to another tribute episode at Art Whisper 88. Today, I'm paying homage to textile artist and printmaker Anni Albers. Now, Annie was born Anneliese Elsa Frieda Fleischmann in 1899. She was a German Jewish visual artist. She was the leading textile artist of the 20th century, and she is credited with blurring the lines between traditional craft and art. Now, in those days, there was a big bias towards women in the art world. And in fact, when she enrolled in the avant-garde school called the Bauhaus in the 1920s, she was actually discouraged from painting because at that time there was more or less a man's domain. So she turned to textiles. And here are a few examples of her work. And what's amazing about her work is that it looks as fresh and as modern today as it did when she first designed them. So I'm taking inspiration from that. I'm going to use some of her color combinations to create a print with my jelly plate. Here are more examples. She had a very great love for geometry and composition. Okay, so let's start rolling. These are my index tab dividers or plastic dividers, and I'm going to use them as masks. This time I'm not calling them stencils because I am just going to lay them down like so. Just to block out any kind of paint. Like that. Then I'm just going to lay down some different shapes. So without copying too much from Anni Albers' design, which is strictly for fabric, I'm reinterpreting her vision in a print. So I'm taking her idea and making it my own by using my own shapes. But I'm following a layout which is similar to fabric, which is a not diagonal, vertical and horizontal alternates. But that's how you weave fabric. Okay, so because of these masks, I'm going to have a large portion that does not get any paint. Now, in this case, the first layer is usually Mars Black. So these areas with the plastic dividers will remain blank. Okay, here we go. Now I use this Mars Black so much that I think I'm beginning to run out, because it's one of my staple colors. I will use my smaller brayer, my 2-inch brayer. So this is a contrast to the other kind of work that I do, which is very free form and unstructured. This one is very, how should I say, it's scripted, it's choreographed, because I have to plan very carefully the layers and see, the sequence of colors. It's almost like what you do when you weave material. There's a sequence. Okay. Got that down. So the first to go will be these very big pieces. then I pick up the smaller ones. Okay, and here two more small ones. Let me just do a little cleanup. This can't be helped sometimes because the paint seeps underneath the stencil. So just clean that up. Make sure there are no spills over the edges. Okay, so this gets to dry first. So I'm going to turn on the ceiling fan and wait for this to dry. Okay, now here is the tricky part. I want to create stripes of red and yellow. And this is Azo Vermilion by Soho. Okay, now I will be using my small brayer again. I'm just going to overlap. Now I thought of using additional masks, but I'm just going to do it freehand. I'm glad I caught this. I didn't see this. So that's a little bonus. A bonus empty space. Okay, that's it for the red. And the other color is is gray. Oh, I'm sorry, yellow. Okay. And the last one would be gray. This is neutral gray. It's a brand new tube, so it has the protective seal. Okay, this is where the color starts to break up. But I'm keeping it with the vertical strokes. Okay. All right, I hope this is going to work. just do a final cleanup of the edges to make sure the edges are clean. Again, I'm using my favorite Richardson paper. Now I'm really taking a chance with this setup. I haven't done this kind of carefully choreographed layers before. And usually the limit I would do is 3 layers. But I'm hoping that all the paint will transfer. Now, I've had comments from viewers who live in a desert environment where the air is very, very dry. The problem is the paint dries too fast, and by the time you put the paper down, the paint is already dry, so it won't transfer. One solution for that is to mix a retarder with the paint, or mix it with just a little bit of water so it stays wet longer, and experiment, because every environment is different. Now fortunately I live near the water in Brooklyn, so it's never really too dry, and there's enough humidity in the air so it keeps the paint wet. And that's why I use a ceiling fan to speed things up. Okay, so I will leave this on for 5 minutes. I want to use both hands. Wow, it's really gripping the plate like a piece of tape. And I really can't pull this off too fast because I don't want to damage the paper. But as far as I can see, most of the paint has transferred. That's thanks to the ceiling fan and the length of time that the paper is on the plate. Okay, wow. Pretty dramatic. These are the dried. Usually on the edges you'll have this dried skin of the paint. Okay, I think that's pretty awesome. But I will push the envelope again a little further by adding a third layer of not white but unbleached titanium to give it that vintage look. So I will air dry this. I'm going to clean the plate a little bit and just keep going. Now I have here some of this blank sketch pad paper that I'm going to use as masks. I'm going to cut them into strips. Because the plastic dividers are not big enough. So in a way, this is like weaving. I'm weaving a design with horizontal and vertical elements. Okay, I think that's enough. Just make sure these are stuck on the plate. And this is unbleached titanium. Now there's not much left, so I might as well use it up. When you're using paper stencils, you have to be extra careful because they're not as durable as the plastic ones. So sometimes they tend to buckle and warp, and they start coming off before they should. Again, I'm working in sections. Since this is such a big gel plate, it can get overwhelming. And in this case, I have to be aware that I cannot delay too much because I don't want the paint to dry on me. So in a way, I have to work as quickly as I can. I better start taking the paper masks off because they're starting to buckle. Okay, I have to work quickly because I don't want this to dry on me. So here is the first pull. I just hope the registration works. Now, the disadvantage of working on a paper that is slightly thicker is when you pull the paper off the plate with great force, it tends to wrinkle the paper. Now hopefully when this gets framed, that's what I'm hoping, and matted and put under glass, the wrinkling won't be noticeable. That's the advantage of using 100% cotton paper. because 100% cotton is more flexible and more forgiving. I think Richardson is 20% cotton and the rest is paper pulp, which is treated to be acid-free. Okay, so we'll leave this on for another 5 minutes and we shall see. Okay, let's see how we did. Now I am right-handed, so I thought of pulling it from this side, but that's going to be too difficult for me. I think this is pretty neat. Check this out. How cool is that? No, I'm glad that even with some imperfections, the registration is fairly decent. And if you look at the edges, you can see how many layers there are. So I will air dry this and then do a recap. I will show you the original Anni Albers design and put it next to this piece so you can see the comparison and the differences. So I will be right back. Don't go away. Okay, everybody, here we are at my favorite part of this video. This has dried very nicely under the fan, and I can show you a close-up. So you can see all the textures where the paint does not transfer completely, but it does create these very intricate textures that are very typical of monoprints. So let me put this to one side. And the Anni Albers inspiration piece on the left side. So you can see the similarity of color combination and concept, but I reinterpreted her design with my shapes. So anyway, I hope you like this video, and I hope you can look up the biography and history of Anni Albers. I think she is way overlooked and underappreciated. Well, first of all, she had so many obstacles to overcome. I think the first one is being a woman in that time, during the 30s, where there were so many biases against women that they were not supposed to do this, and you were not supposed to pursue certain careers because they were only reserved for men. In many ways, it hasn't changed much, but hopefully over time, women can have equal rights and have what is due to them. So anyway, thank you so much for watching and for subscribing. Please visit artwhisper88.com, which is my website and my storefront. And hopefully the sales of these pieces will help to fund art supplies and help keep this channel going. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you next time.